Obviously, one of frustration. There's no question about it. I'm still a huge advocate for the potential of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. I'm disappointed, like many other shareholders. It sets, in a way, though, I always try and find what is the outcome of something like this. I mean, yes, I'm a shareholder in the International. That's a zero. It's not the first time I've made a bad investment, probably not the last time, but luckily I make more good ones than bad ones, and I learn from my mistakes. What's going to happen now is there won't be another situation like this for institutional investors ever again. We're simply not going to put capital to work until this stuff gets regulated. And what is occurring, and I'm just one voice in it, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to fly to Washington, and I want regulation. I want it now. No more delaying. I think this puts tremendous pressure on the SEC. I think a bill like the Stablecoin Transparency Act, which has been floating around forever, not going to signature, not going to markup, we got to stop doing this to ourselves. As an industry, it has to stop, but also it's time to move forward with regulation. And if this is the bottom of the crypto market. A massive player goes to zero, and now you build from the ashes. That's the upside. I am still going to invest in crypto. I lost money in the accounts there. They have a gate on them now. It doesn't stop me from buying more, and I'm going to do just that. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that most of these currencies and tokens and coins have absolutely been beaten into the ground as a result of this, and probably a buying opportunity. That's the way I look at it.
Hello and welcome to Money Talks. In today's video, Shark Tank star Kevin O'Leary, also known as Mr. Wonderful, shares his views about cryptocurrency crashes, mass adoption, and the need for regulation in this space. Kevin O'Leary also discusses why big institutions are still hesitant to invest in Bitcoin and what major event could spark the next rally.
I want to see it. I'd like to start with one thing. I don't think we can solve for every single asset in crypto. I want to do one thing, and that one thing is to pass the Stablecoin Transparency Act. One thing, because that allows us to use the US dollar as a payment system. I would use that in all of my businesses every day. It's far superior to ACH, far superior to SWIFT, far faster, more transparent, 100% audible. All I need is the regulation that forces an audit every 30 days and guarantees me the backup for this is Treasury bills less than 12 months of duration. That's one thing. Very simple. That would signal to everybody around the world that the regulators here in the United States are taking crypto on, starting to put rules in place, putting the guardrails on. No one is going to play ball anymore in this space on an institutional level with serious capital till we get it done. I'm going to agree. It was a terrible investment, 100%, and I lost my money. I get it. I'm a diversified investor. I make mistakes. This is one of them. But I learn from my mistakes. This won't be happening again. If I'm going to put serious capital to work in a broker-dealer, in an exchange, it's going to be one that's regulated, that has transparency, and has the same rules of test that every other exchange that deals in stocks and bonds has. Because everybody's saying the same thing. It's great to be a retail investor and trade a few $1,000s worth of crypto. And if that's what Binance is going to do, good for them. But every single institutional investor is going to look at this and say, okay, can't play with this structure anymore because there's not enough transparency. I'm going to wait for the SEC or whoever it is going to be, the Fed or whoever, to regulate this stuff. This is actually a turning point for this industry. It's a maturation for this industry. That's what's going to happen.
Okay, now back to that nothing burger situation. Do you buy into the narrative that Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation, even given the lack of regulation?
It hasn't worked so far, and the reason it hasn't is it's not being indexed. So it's a chicken and egg problem. It might be better than gold. It could be, but gold is allowed to be owned by institutions, and indeed they do own it up to 5% allocations of bullion or ETFs that track the price of gold. So we don't know, and we won't know until we let the entire free market buy Bitcoin, and we've shut out 75% of it. I'm an indexer. One of my businesses is to provide index services to sovereign wealth funds and pension plans. The classic example is a Middle East country that has a lot of oil. So maybe they make 200 or 300 million a day. Recently, they have asked about Bitcoin, specifically Bitcoin, in allocating 50 basis points to 1%, but have never done it. Its market cap is nothing compared to what it could be. And so I'm a huge advocate for getting policy done that would allow me and others to index Bitcoin, to include it in these indices of investments. And that would be a huge upside in the price appreciation and the potential.
Do you think the only thing that's holding Bitcoin back from being more than a nothing burger is regulation, or are there other variables, do you believe?
No, it's just regulation. Bitcoin itself is a proven asset. There's no question there's demand for it, but you can't get that demand. You can't unleash the spigot of demand without policy, without regulation. 75% of the capital invested around the world is not owned by individuals. It's owned by pension and sovereign wealth. 75% of the market does not participate. That is the problem with Bitcoin. That is the issue. For everybody saying, oh, we don't need to regulate crypto. Yes, we do, because we want the 75%, the trillions of dollars that can't buy it now, to come in and allocate to it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% allocations to these big projects. And I think that's the potential. That's why investors like me are spending so much time in Washington these days, because it's in my economic benefit.
You believe that it's really just taking the regulation to get us to a point where we have more of a mass adoption or more people using cryptocurrencies?
It's simple math. When 75% of the capital of the world is tied up in sovereign and pension wealth, and they're not allowed to buy crypto, that's bad. If we unleash that, that's good. The only way to unleash it is to give them compliance through regulation. They can't invest because they have compliance departments overseeing asset allocation. Compliance says no, because they don't have any regulation. There's no optionality.
Do you think there's any specific variable that's slowing down oncoming regulation in Washington?
Well, volatility is obviously what happened with stablecoin with Luna was a disaster. All the people that don't know what they're doing are getting wiped out. That's a good thing. Now, it's tough for the investors, but it's okay, because when you take a big spatula like bankruptcy and scrape out the patina of all the idiot managers, you get them out of the industry. That's good. What you're left with is much stronger management, much better business models, much better projects that are well financed, and we can move forward going through that. So when people say to me, what about this correction? It's a good thing. It's a great thing that happened here. And I'm sure there'll be more corrections, but those are people that didn't know what they were doing and they put on too much leverage and they got wiped out. That happens in every market, in commodities and stocks and bonds. It's happened for decades before. Idiot managers always get wiped out, and that's okay.
So, do you agree with Kevin O'Leary that Bitcoin space needs regulation? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.